Thirsty Thursday edition of Liquid Lunch on BizTV. Yeah, we're going nationwide, but we're coming to you live as we do every day, noon to 2 Eastern. Not from the Corona Bunker Studios in my house where we were quarantined for months. We're at Mac's Pub in Staten Island, New York. If you ask me, the epicenter of the revolution for the reopen movement. And these guys were at the end of their rope, and they had enough, and they stood up for it. They spoke up for it, and now around the country, you see little seedlings popping up everywhere of people who are just fed up and not going to take it anymore. So we're going to keep rolling with it. I'm going to keep broadcasting from here. But right now, we are joined by a special guest for the first time. I usually ring the bell when we have a first-time guest. Dr. Michael Eads joins us right now. He's an actual doctor, not like Jill Biden, not like Dr. Pepper. He's an actual medical doctor. He's the author of Protein Power. He's a speaker, public speaker, of course. And now, doctor, and we had a doctor of law on a little earlier, but he doesn't have the prestige of your medical degree. And he was saying that in his view that these vaccines are kind of almost common, and the fact that they're 94, 95% efficacy rates, that people shouldn't be that scared about it. What do you think as a real doctor? I think the doctor has muted his mic. I think, well, if any of you out there know how to read lips. Zoe, can you read lips?
A good statement.
No. Oh, that's the other one. I got that wrong. Doc, I think your mic is off.
It is? Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Okay, now we hear you. So this 94, 95% efficacy rate sounds great. Sounds like, hey, everybody should take one. What do you think from a medical perspective?
Well, I mean, I myself am going to wait and see a little bit because I think they've tested, I've seen different figures, but they've tested somewhere in the neighborhood of 40,000 people in the testing phase. And when you release something that's been tested on 40,000 people into a population of, let's say, the first go-around of 25 million people, you're going to find a lot of things you didn't find when you just tested 40,000 people. So I'm going to wait and watch a little bit, and I wouldn't be entitled to get it right off the bat anyway, so it doesn't much matter.
Dr. Eads, I'm like, I know nothing about medical science. I don't know much about much, but I am pretty good at math. And I followed stocks for years. I was actually a short seller, so I used to love shorting biotechs and pharmaceuticals as they were trying to get FDA approval, because sometimes they'd even get the approval, but the language from the FDA would talk about, well, these side effects and these unintended consequences. And people would say, holy crap, they're approved, but who's going to take this damn thing? And the stock would tank, right? My math mind says any good study probably gave 50% of those people a placebo. Is that right?
Yeah, that's as I understand it. They
so
gave
40, apparently they're saying 43,000 people participated in this study. And what we know is half of them didn't even get the vaccine. So Correct. We're basing these statistics on the behavior of a demographically challenged group of 20,000 people, because I don't think they were taking senior citizens out of the nursing home to put them in the test group. So outliers have some bigger problems than a 95% efficacy rate.
Right. But when I looked at the breakdown efficacy-wise, it was pretty even across the board. Black people, it was 100% efficacy. And some people, it was down around 94%. Elderly people, it was between 94 and 95%. So I think you can pretty much count on the efficacy. What I would worry about more than the efficacy is the safety. But then, it all boils down to a risk-reward deal. If you're in a demographic that's at high risk, it's probably worth taking. And it's really interesting because it's a new vaccine. It's the first mRNA, which is a totally different kind of vaccine. And because it's an mRNA vaccine, that allowed it to be brought to market a lot faster than it would be if it were a standard, say an attenuated virus vaccine. Because those have to be grown up in eggs or other cell cultures. It takes a long time to get enough of them to do anything. And with this mRNA, you just, you make the gene sequence, put it in a little lipid droplet, inject it in the patient, and then the patient's own cells produces the antigen, which in this case, with the Pfizer vaccine at least, are the spikes on the
outside of the cell.
SARS-CoV-2 virus.
Right.
And then your body mounts an immune response against that, and then that prevents you from getting infected by the virus.
So what you're saying is this, messenger RNA, which they send in there with this, to put it in layman terms, a little message on it that says attack the spikes and make them think it's a virus, and so then the spikes will start creating antibodies. Is that right?
Well, what
Somewhere
they do is they actually put the coding for the spikes into a droplet that gets in your cells, and then your cells' replication machinery actually produces the spikes, not the whole virus, but just the spikes. And then when those are released, then your body's immune system attacks the spikes and essentially builds up the immunity, so that if you get the entire virus exposed to you with the spikes on the outside, you're going to attack that, or your immune system will.
Got it. So I'm just going to rattle off some high school science. The messenger RNA is the ribonucleic acid, as opposed to the deoxynucleic acid, which we don't need in this case. But many people have said, and I saw some stuff, I don't even know what's real on social media anymore, but many people have said some of the early iterations of the patents and invention on this stuff for the messenger RNA were devised by one Anthony Fauci. So has this stuff been going on for a while and they've just manipulated an old vaccine, or this is brand spanking new?
No, they've been working on this for a while, but they've just never had an opportunity to use it because we haven't had any new vaccines lately. And I don't know who all was involved in the patenting of it, but people have been working on messenger RNA and conceptually for a long time, because that's an easy way to do it, because you use your body's own cellular replicative systems instead of having to grow these viruses and eggs and then kind of making them harmless and then injecting the whole virus. That you can just replicate the antigenic part of a virus, and your own body does it, so they can come to market a lot quicker and essentially a lot more inexpensively. So it's really good technology, and based on the results I've seen, they look really good. The problem is nobody knows what the safety profile is until you throw it out to a huge mass of people. But that's like that with anything. That's like that with a new drug. It's like that with another kind of vaccine. You never know what's going to happen when it hits a huge mass of people versus the 20 or 30 or 40,000 that are actually in the test program.
Right. So the reason I asked that is because there is verified empirical evidence that the folks from Moderna were doing a whole bunch of testing on this messenger RNA technology down at the University of North Carolina, alongside with the CDC, and some other parts of the U.S. government said that they thought it was getting a little too close to biological weaponry. So the CDC and the National Association of Infectious Diseases under Anthony Fauci actually funded $3.5 million to the University of Wuhan to continue this research. So to me, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you start hearing, Moderna, Fauci, Wuhan, and the virus supposedly came out of Wuhan, and you start thinking, like, should I be taking this crap? Is this safe for us to take, in your view?
If I had to make the call, if I were the head of the whole thing, I would say yes, especially on a risk-reward basis for people who have comorbidities and who are elderly. But if I had my way, what I would do is that I would, because I'm a real believer in people having skin in the game, I would have all the people involved in the FDA approval process, all the people involved in the CDC that were involved with bringing this virus to market, and all the scientists at Pfizer take it first. And because then they would have some skin in the game, and if they're not afraid to take it, and if they're not afraid to give it to their families, then I would feel more secure with it.
Got it.
And now it's earmarked to healthcare professionals and people in nursing homes. This first batch that's coming out.
Oh boy. All right. Well, look, Doctor, we got some really good guests on here. A lot of them have the doctor title, but that's come into question now because Jill Biden is being compared to Dr. Pepper by using her, academic doctorate. we need some more real MDs to talk this stuff through with our viewers and our friends. So can we have you back another day, please? And
Sure. Anytime. Anytime. Be happy to.
Dr. Michael Eads, an actual medical doctor, and breaking it down as good as can be right here. He's also the author of Protein Power. Go out and check that out, and we will certainly have you back. Thank you, doctor.
All right. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break right here. We're going to come back, and we're going to wrap it up with the WTF. I think I may have made a few mistakes today, so we're going to do What the Facts. Mikey, you'll tell me if I did. If not, then we'll just rip through the rest of the assets. I'll rip through the rest of this bottle of Proper 12, which I've been polishing off as we're going along. And we'll end up a Thirsty Thursday on the right note. We'll be back right after this.